Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast.
No DEI here.
You say with all your hosts, your four favorite white gentlemen here to talk, starting off our February news roundup with what's going on with all the wokes out there. What's happening with
these liberals, man.
These DEI initiatives. What are they doing? Who are they hiring? Who are they firing? Where?
I could tell you we're not getting the best and the brightest through DEI.
I'm telling you one thing for sure. I need each and every one of you to write down what you did for this podcast in the last week and send it to me via email.
Your contributions will be evaluated by Grok.
That was one
by the basically 16-year-olds running it.
There's nothing more efficient than like 2+ million emails being sent to tell everyone what you're doing, and it's probably just going to be searching for like responsibility, diversity, inclusion. It's going to be looking for
accountability.
Here's how you get promoted. You just write, I will not apologize for my privilege.
Yeah, for my whiteness.
And I have spent the week weeding out anti-white racists.
You put that in the cover letter, you're getting hired, baby.
Or do you just say that you spent all of your time on the clock reading Mein Kampf?
Couple times. There were a couple Easter eggs that missed the first.
Some time. Easter eggs.
Real heads know the reference. Your references are so good, man. Everybody says so. But yeah, for real though, Mike, you're starting us off early with some
first anti-wokeness.
Yes. Yeah. What's going on? How are these major companies kowtowing to the woke mind virus? My God,
he's president.
He did the Cheeto thing.
Yeah.
Make Donald Trump again.
Make Donald Trump again. He he canceled DEI. We're back to merit-based hiring only. None of this affirmative action bullshit. He wants that, to rid that of our culture. Get rid of this and make America white again. But the video game companies, our big one being Microsoft, they're saying, nah, fuck that. We want some color, we want some diversity, we want some equity and inclusion in our workforce. And so they are doubling down, at least for the time being. I'm sure that will change in the coming months.
Yeah, once they stop receiving federal funding and he moves all of the government computers over to Apple.
Well, Apple is also...
Yeah, what's Tim Apple doing?
Tim Apple is also doubling down on DEI, so...
And he'll move everything over to Linux because there's nothing more in the lacking of diversity and inclusion than the Linux community.
100%. Like that's his base. That's all the, libertarian white guys with Asian wives. That's who.
I thought all the tech, the tech ghouls were, I thought they all lined up and kissed the ring. I thought they were falling in lockstep.
No.
I mean, the companies that I pay patronage to, such as Home Depot and Costco.
Costco is keeping its DEI.
You mean Target?
How many booms or dooms do you think the Costco guys give DEI?
It's a lot of dooms. But yeah, so Microsoft, Apple, Costco, those
they're pretty Italian. They probably want to support DEI initiatives, realistically.
I think we do need to go back
for their own material self-interest, for their own.
Sure, but in reality, they think that they're white, But we had Luigi on the stand. That that light-skinned man, not a white man. So I'm saying I'm gonna hang on that for a while. All right, but yeah, Microsoft is doubling down. They're keeping DEI initiatives, and they haven't really given any reason why, other than the talking points of, we believe in DEI and yada yada, which sure, fine. But I wonder if this has anything to do with the unions that have, at Activision, at Blizzard, that have kind of popped up. I wonder if there's any, worker, solidarity or just the fact that they have these unions, that Microsoft is making the decision, at least for the time being, to continue their
a couple more weeks. There'll be another executive order that says all unions outside the police union are no longer.
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. 100%.
Who's the labor secretary right now?
It's a new one, I think, because he got rid of the other one, and there's some issues with that.
I'd be surprised if the labor secretary wasn't fired.
Surprise, surprise. Trump's labor secretary pick turns out to be super anti-labor.
No.
I don't know who this is. Former
Marvin
Representative Lori Chavez
E.
DeRay.
Kaplan. Well, and then
All
the
these companies are just
NLRB
waiting for that
chairman.
executive order so they can fire all of the woke people in the unions and then hire true-blooded Americans to fill out their ranks.
And I'm sure that just by the fact of having the union contracts, it's easier to keep DEI in the mix at the moment than say that you're getting rid of it and then try to fire union
I don't know. My former
members.
company, the first people that they fired and laid off after the election was the entire DEI department.
Yeah, but you weren't a unionized staff is my point. What I'm saying is Microsoft and Activision, where they have a lot of DEI in their video game sections, and just being a tech company that has plenty of H-1Bs and has plenty of people in STEM that aren't white, whether it's at lower levels or more to like higher
But you
tier
only
levels,
pointed out that
obviously
they weren't
not
white. You didn't point out that they weren't male. It's an interesting.
I mean, they're probably male, so they don't have the DEI issue of having to hire more women, but they're not going to get rid of their foreign pool of H-1B visa holders from India that are not white. So I'm sure these companies they're not going to hire as many LGBTQ people. They're not going to try to hire more women, but they just by necessity can't hire only white people. One. Two, I think, again, the unions, because they can't fire a lot of union members that are probably more likely than not the, quote, DEI hires, that it's just, again, for the time being, until President Trump issues the executive order that unions are illegal except for the police union, which, honestly, there's a very strong chance that happens in some regard. Or whether it's an executive order, but like that's gonna be, unions are definitely on the chopping block except for the police union. But yeah, I think that this is one spot where at least I could say at this point where like worker solidarity has kind of dug itself in and prevented someone like Microsoft from saying immediately, no, fuck DEI, we're scrapping it. And again, it's just, I think, based on having those union structures in place, making it harder to get rid of those workers, and just by the nature of their business being one that is not predominantly white men, is just, kind of limiting them at the moment. There's also the political, like, PR considerations of being a pushback on this fascist regime until the tides completely turn and they realize that they, like Elon and fucking Mark Zuckerberg, should just bend the knee and kiss the ring, and then DEI gets scrapped. But I think that they have an incentive not to lose money or have issues just even within their worker morale, not even talking about boycotts and stuff like we've seen of Target, that could come if there is an anti-DEI initiative from Microsoft. And I think, again, because of the union base, the consumer and worker solidarity already built around these video games because of the labor organizing that's been going on for the past 5 years now, would make a boycott of something like
I'm just making
a video
joke
game
here,
company.
But consumers are already boycotting Xbox systems and everything else as is.
I mean, yes. So you already have that, but the video games that they're
maybe
putting out.
Microsoft sales would increase if they canceled DEI, because all of a sudden it would be the console for the
but it would only be the consoles increasing, everything else decreasing.
So, but the other thing I think who Microsoft is, did they recommit? Did they say
Yeah, they recommitted and doubled
or
down.
did they just not say they're getting rid of anything? Because I find a lot of this to be, it is performative. All of these announcements are solely
just like
performative.
any of the companies doing DEI initially in the teas was performative.
Right.
In reciprocation, this is the same.
Exactly. That's exactly nothing's
just riding
changed
the wave
really
of whatever's
one way or the
popular.
other.
I'll read...
And
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, the other thing I was going to say is these organizations that have bowed down to this anti-DEI and specifically said we're going to roll these things back, like the big ones all have a vested interest in specifically currying favor with the current administration in a way that Microsoft really doesn't. Microsoft doesn't need to do that in the same way that Facebook and Twitter, because like those organizations have also been the ones that they've been railing against about these things in a way that they haven't with Microsoft. Like it's also
2.5 years ago when Twitter was bought by
right, exactly.
Well,
when it started
about. And I think that again, like Microsoft has already dealt with this at some level because of the labor organizing that went on in the past 5 years. They've already had to like kind of make these decisions internally and in a sense fought this like anti-DEI fight in a different arena in a slightly nuanced way with the labor organizing that went on. So yes, they've kind of busted through that, have been able to accept these unions and, you know, for better or worse, and have created their new ecosystem internally. So yeah, like that's what I was thinking about, like the political considerations, and that they don't care about this administration yet because the administration doesn't have any extra to give them like the administration does to Facebook and X, Twitter, and for Zuckerberg to do his little Gen Z right-winger Andrew Tate fucking, you know, shift and start wearing an Edgar haircut and gold chains. So yeah, I think that's definitely true. And that's why I was like, I don't think that this, you know, stance on DEI from places like Microsoft is going to be long-standing within this administration. I think there will come a time where the administration has something to offer them where that's going to, you know, beat out whatever concerns they have from the backlash, whether correct or incorrect on their part, and they'll go away with DEI and move to an anti-DEI stance. But I think again, you know, and I've always been hesitant for consumer activism or on consumer activism, you know, see all of our other episodes when we discuss it. But it seems to at least been having some effects, you know, since October 8th, 2023. You know, you look at the McDonald's and Starbucks boycotts, like those are having material effects. The Target boycott has already had a material effect. So, you know, I think that, again, Microsoft, you know, Matt's point jokingly, I do think that maybe console sales would go up if they went anti-DEI, but I think that there would be an easier way of having a concerted action because you already have the workers organized and consumers have been organizing in their own sense around these labor movements through the past 5 years.
It'd be interesting to see the console sale numbers broken down by political leaning to find out, like, does Nintendo harbor people of the right or left more? You know,
Nintendo would probably be the one that's like covers everyone on the spectrum. Xbox definitely leaning way towards the right, and I would say PlayStation just being centrist. That would be my, you know, if we're gonna put them on a political scale.
Valve, anarchist,
anarcho-syndicalist.
Yeah.
PlayStation sells the most COD copies.
I mean, it just has the most
by virtue of fucking pissing on Xbox for the last decade.
Yeah. PCs are leftist based, but also PCs are the horseshoe. PCs are the horseshoe.
I was going to say, like, Nintendo are like the apolitical
PC is where people like Asman spend all their time.
Yeah, that's why it's the horseshoe. The PCs are the horseshoes. Yeah, Nintendo definitely apolitical Andes and just spanning the entire spectrum. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts on the DEI specifically, but that's, you know, definitely my thoughts.
I've been making my thoughts known in the chat since it's all happened. Remember, go woke, go broke, and that's the only answer you need.
Yep. I mean, some other like Trump related things that I've been thinking about is like, and how they'll affect the industry. You know, I'll open this up to any other thoughts you guys might have. You know, when money becomes free again, which it will, it'll go down.
We'll be headed towards some type of crisis that will necessitate, very low interest rates.
100%. And so I wonder
Give
if
him that cash out.
exactly, especially to like
Please
corporations,
prop up our
businesses.
economy, please.
I can't wait. I'll be taking out the free money, but
Will we get a PPE loan or whatever?
or PPP.
Yes.
I mean, this time we're definitely filing for it. But yeah, I wonder if like more indie studios that we've been seeing shuttered will kind of like pop back up, or we'll just see brand new ones in general. Because of the backlash, just two AAA studios that we've seen for the past like 5 years, the success of indie games. I just wonder.
There's a little
especially
survivorship bias there. The success of indie games. You don't talk about how many indie games never make it and completely fail.
But it's more like the indie games have become like a popular phenomenon for like the successful ones.
The idea of an indie game is more mainstream than it has been in times past. I would agree with that sentiment.
For sure.
Indie, as you would have thought of it, is now essentially like AA.
Yeah. And I just wonder if those types of studios,
like indie is like single dev. That's like basically at this point.
Yeah. And so I wonder if like that will
real indie, that is.
We'll see more of like, whether real
Pretty sure
indie,
Team Cherry
fake
was
indie.
a dev team of like 3 people, which is why Silk Song is never going to come out.
Yeah, but once money gets free,
they're in
that's
New Zealand.
That's what I'm talking about. There you go.
I think so. The one thing I think is like, how invested is Elon in his video games are being ruined tantrum? Because if he's
Elon
actually
said he was going to start an anti-woke gaming company.
He's doing an AI studio, so we don't have to worry about who's getting hired for games, because nobody's going to get hired for games anymore.
But this is what I have to say about
Elon's just going to make all our games. He's gonna pump them directly into the Starlink brain chip.
Yep.
That turns me into a clapping
he did
monkey.
close the FDA people who were looking into Neuralink.
Oh God.
No.
This is my quick take, because I could do
all the chimpanzees they tortured to death.
Yeah.
Oh God. So
I could
sad.
probably do a whole podcast episode on my thoughts on the relationship between Trump and Elon Musk. But at some point, Elon Musk is going to go the way of Steve Bannon, because the egos are just going to clash. It might take longer than the Steve Bannon Trump ego clash.
Having that
I'm
much
pretty
money
sure his
does
kid running
deals.
half of the
I know, and that's what
interview is
keeps
proof
him.
that that's never going to happen.
That's what's keeping
Because
him
Trump
longer
wouldn't
than
sit
Bannon.
there and let anyone else talk over him like that while he's just sitting there looking like a senile old man at the desk.
You're absolutely emasculated.
But the like President Elon stuff in the media and social media is getting to Trump. I know it is.
Well, people talk about Elon more than they talk about Trump at this
Exactly.
point now.
And
at least
it's going to get to a point where his ego cannot take it, and Elon's going to go bye-bye.
Are you sure he's seeing that stuff, though? Because, I mean,
they can get disappeared back to South Africa.
Exactly what he needs to see. They'll do exactly what they did to his dad, which give him a fake office with fake paperwork to pretend he's still running a company.
Trump knows, because he's made comment, like he's been on the record that he does not like the President Elon stuff. So it's definitely going to happen. The relationship by nature just cannot last that long or be fruitful.
Mike, I am just as hopeful as you are about this idea, but I will say I think part of it is...
I'm not saying it's going to happen soon. It's just, it like inevitably has to happen. Those two egos cannot remain in the same room.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. We'll find
it's
out.
like it's like the Harry Potter prophecy. Like,
read another
one
book.
can't live while the other survives. Type thing, you know? Like,
you're so lip-coded this episode, it's giving me actual, it's like sending...
One of my favorite subreddits is r/read another book.
Yeah.
I just want to say one last thing about Elon, which an underrated part of his wonderful CPAC performance.
Besides being strung out on Ket the whole time?
Yeah, was his shirt, which said, "I'm not procrastinating, I'm just doing side quests," which is just the most... I paused my video game ass shirt.
Except he doesn't even play video games.
I know.
He pays other people to boost his accounts. I'm pretty sure that is entirely based on the fact of how much people ripped on him for his Elden Ring build.
Yeah. Carrying 2 shields. That's just like
What? I didn't know about that. That's insane.
There's nothing wrong with carrying 2 shields if one of them has a stat boosting effect.
right. Like if you've got like the stamina boosting one, but usually that one has to be like actually equipped. So that's
no,
like,
you can have it. You can have it if you're two-handing. You can have it on your back.
but that's what I mean is that it's still technically equipped like to your other hand. You just then
Or if you have
so
like the
it goes to your
jellyfish
back.
shield and you use the Ash of War of the jellyfish shield to boost your attack, you can then change it to a different weapon and keep the boost.
Elon's not
usually-
doing that.
Usually people like that will then like take it off after.
That's what Matt's saying.
Yeah,
Drop
but
it
those are
entirely.
that is specifically targeting people who are doing one-shot builds where they're stacking as many buffs and then have a 5-second window to do 28,000 damage.
My one take on all this is just it is emblematic of the kind of volatility of particularly North American gaming and the tech industry, is that all these entrepreneurs and visionaries, they literally just go wherever the wind is blowing them, and will about face on any decision at any point in time, so long as they think it will boost bottom line and will, any material impact to the people below them, doesn't matter. So
True. Because these people are successful because they're ruthless. That's why they're successful. Like, they just don't give a fuck about any sort of caring or anything like that.
back to the
It's
point
not
about
just
it being
about-
performative, right? Is like that they'll support or decry DEI so long as it's in their interest, and it really has no indication on what they believe, or because spoiler, they believe in nothing.
Except
Play
ruthlessness.
both sides, so I always come out on top.
So all it means is it's going to be more layoffs, more across the board, more consolidation, and fewer games that are also worse.
Yeah.
Is basically what's going to happen.
And more
Based though,
Licensed
because I asked for
IP.
that, because fewer worse games mean I get to spend less money on new games and I can play
Worse-
more of my backlog.
It's not like the meme that I want fewer games made for less money with worse graphics type of thing. Worse than just like bad.
Yeah,
meaning
which just means I can skip them and continue to play through my backlog.
meaning
Save myself
things like
money.
predatory microtransactions and all the shit, like in bad game design and NFT blockchain shit that companies are
No.
still peddling. And
But they've been getting off the NFT, blockchain, and AI stuff because of
Because they don't want you to
DeepSeek.
have permanent ownership.
No, it's because of DeepSeek,
somebody just did one though. I don't know if it was Square or somebody else just did
and
one.
it's still gonna pop up like that. But they don't have the investor backing that they had a few years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Because
That
of-
was
of
just an
DeepSeek.
example. That's just an example. Again, that they'll follow whatever trend that they
Yeah,
think.
they've been and no, but it is a perfect example because we've seen the open source AI that came out of China, and then all of these investors that were investing into different proprietary AI within North America dropping those investments, or stop, not continuing to invest in them because they saw the writing on the wall, and we're like, China just fucking threw a wrench in our ability to become a fucking iRobot capitalist society.
Well, speaking of industry volatility and the knock-on effects of chasing trends and not believing in anything and what happens, I wanted to just kind of call attention to, at first, a general kind of look at, and just kind of picking some examples here of the state of the industry, to go from the general kind of to the specific. In that, at the end of January, beginning of February, it was, the financial season, right? We're getting all the investor calls, we're getting all of the shareholder meetings, so a whole bunch of news is coming out, and a lot of bad stuff, basically, or, to different degrees of not good, but things like Nintendo having to cut their forecast for Switch sales, Sega dropped like 8% in their not profit, I forget. They dropped 8% of it was either profit or revenue, I don't remember. But dropped a significant percentage in a significant margin. And then you get moving to more to what I want to talk about is EA losing $6 billion off its market value because we're finally getting data on things like Dragon Age: The Veilguard, and what
Because it went woke, therefore it went broke.
this
It's very simple equation.
This technically dropped at the end of last month, but we didn't have a chance to cover it. But claiming that they engaged 1.5 million players was so funny to me that they had to be so careful with the language. That
Wasn't there a demo?
I don't think so. I don't think there was a demo. But no, it was like engaged was a very specific word choice. It was because they had like a trial run for it's not for the game, but a trial for like the EA Play thing that you could get it for like $16 basically. They were counting all sorts of shared
5-hour trial is available through EA Play.
Yeah, so they were counting all of that. They were counting all of that stuff. So
I mean, that's
what.
It's when like that's the Microsoft thing when Microsoft will be like, yeah, we had 2 million players because they're counting Game Pass and sales. It's whenever you have to talk about total number of people who played it instead of purchases. Because if it was like 5 million sales, they would have been like, yeah, we sold 5 million.
They would have been trumpeting that from the fucking rooftops. You know, if sales were good, they would be talking about it. And so that means it didn't even sell 1 million copies. Because, yes, for a game that long in development and that quote-unquote controversial...
Yeah, plus with like Steam refunds with under 2 hours, I'm sure that there was a chunk of those as well.
If it had sold, 1 million copies and that's all we heard about it, that's not good enough. But still, games will always tell you when they've sold 1 million copies. And unless they didn't... unless they didn't actually sell that many copies, which is the case here. So they had reported that it's like sales missed, or sales or engagement, whichever one, missed their expectation by 50%.
It was Veilguard and Football Club, right? Were there two big disappointments?
Yes. So the more significant driver for that $6 billion erasure in value comes largely from the poor performance of the EA Football Club, because it's not like Dragon Age was ever, even if it was a big success, was never going to drive billions of dollars in sales.
FIFA was a huge moneymaker for them. I'm not a FIFA player, never really. I don't care about communist soccer, but it's one of those things like just the name EA Football Club just sounds like a fake video game that you would hear in a TV show that has like
EA
a $500,000 budget.
R325,
yeah, you play that on your Game Sphere.
Yeah, can't keep track of all
from
that
Temu.
But yeah, so that was actually getting to what actually came out this month, and what I really wanted to talk about, and again, talking about chasing trends, was absolute necromantic ghoul Andrew Wilson, the EA CEO, in like a follow-up, investor interview or call or whatever you want to call it, basically blamed the failure of Dragon Age on it not being a live service game. They're basically pointing fingers at we were right that when we initially wanted this game to be live service, if we had kept with like my initial vision. So it's all these, again, executives just completely absolving themselves of any bit of accountability or anything. It's just, no, like when things go right, it's because of my genius. And when things go wrong, it's because you're a fucking idiot.
And you didn't listen to my genius.
And you don't understand market trends. You don't understand that just because, quote, Dragon Age had a high-quality launch and was well-reviewed by critics, those who played, it did not resonate with a broad enough audience, and it doesn't have these persistent, like, worlds... What did they call it?
Well, you see, my grandson plays only Fortnite and Apex Legends, so...
It's like, well, but this is where it's bullshit, because it's like, dude, can you tell me what Baldur's Gate 3 is doing for player numbers 2 years after it came out?
Well, you see, Baldur's Gate 3 has a lot of post-launch support, which could be considered to be a live service type situation.
But then you have, like, the Kingdom Come Deliverance people, Warhorse, like, responding to this and being like, we made our money back in a day.
Yeah.
with none of
because
with
because they're paying Eastern European wages, so they spent $12 to make the full game.
it doesn't
It was
have
mostly
this, quote,
just cigarettes.
shared world features and deeper engagement alongside high quality narratives. So he never said the word live service, so he could definitely the plausible deniability. But
Yeah, shared world. It's like Elden Ring.
What are you even saying? Why does he think that is the driver of of sales? Why is that?
Because of Roblox and Forklift. It's the people, because he's not entirely wrong in one sense of looking at the data that the majority of player base meaning the entire game playing population,
yeah, it's weighted that way.
Are choosing these kind of social games. But here's the thing:
most of those are also free to play. So,
but say those players are not the ones who are looking for this high quality narrative experience. There is a split there. Like, those things are essentially mutually exclusive. That they do not have. They are getting their quote unquote narrative from, or what we get from narrative, from hanging around with the boys, right? From saying slurs to random people online.
Well, and even to be a little more charitable than that,
back in my day, we would say slurs to people's faces.
If you are invested in a particular live service game, there isn't a reason to go to another one. That's the thing. Is like, there's not.
Boy, you better be careful there, because the entire Overwatch community is playing Marvel Rivals because it's just Overwatch again.
All right, well, yeah, sure, certainly that might happen.
Most of the Overwatch community came from Team Fortress 2.
But say, like, they will move along, but, like, yeah, things don't persist, right? It's like, there has yet to be a Fortnite, say a Fortnite killer from the same degree as something like Marvel Rivals.
Roblox is still going on.
Has really eaten Overwatch's lunch, right?
I mean, it all started again with PUBG, and then Fortnite ate PUBG. So if we need to go back in time and like stop this trend, you need to go back and prevent PUBG from happening. If we could prevent PUBG, everything else caters off.
We should do a what if episode, and it's Matt going back in time and just killing the developer of PUBG,
which is which is South Korean, right?
Be careful.
What you're saying there is the People's Republic must rise in order for gaming to be saved.
Maybe.
Not the first time I've come to that conclusion.
I don't know. It's just beyond, again, Andrew Wilson, showing his entire ass and, proving why he's one of the most hated public figures in gaming.
I mean, none of you are aware of or were on Reddit at the time, but EA still owns the most downvoted comment in Reddit history.
It was for Battlefront 2, wasn't it?
Yeah,
wasn't that one?
It was regarding the Battlefront 2 progression system and how it was.
I was not on Reddit. Down. I was not on Reddit, but I was aware of that whole thing because I was playing Battlefront 2 and being like, wow, I can't progress at all.
I don't remember the full comment, but it was something along the lines of like, we slowed down the progression system so players would have a sense of pride and accomplishment when they unlocked new characters. And it was like underneath a post of someone saying it took like 1,200 hours to unlock Darth Vader or something like that.
It would take literal decades to like unlock everything. It's like it would take so long as that the servers running the game would be.
Well, that's what I was about to make the joke is like, imagine dedicating your time like, I'm going to not spend a dime. I'm going to unlock all of these things myself. And then you finally do it, and you're like, we're shutting the servers down.
No, the sun engulfs the world.
It would happen just before you unlock the last one.
Yeah.
I'm unlocking Rey Skywalker. No! No, it's gone.
It's not a real
character. That's just like when your dementia kicks in and you completely forget everything you've done.
Yeah, but then you can just start over. That's the life hack with dementia that people don't talk about. Is you can play video games like it's the first time.
Everybody talks about there are all these experiences that I wish I could have for the first time again. Well, oh boy, do I got news for you. If you have this one genetic factor, live service developers love you.
Doesn't even need to be live service developers at that point. Everything is brand new at all points.
I just think Andrew Wilson needs to go to the re-education camp, have his brain studied for science. But Veilguard was a deeply middling game, a very turn your brain off type of experience. I managed to platinum it without even fucking trying. It was very bland.
Be careful putting that out in the world. You just put out in the world the fact that you played a woke game to completion. Did you hear that, Elon? Is Grok listening?
Come and take my copy away from me. I'll give it to you. I don't care.
Please take it.
You can have it. I don't care. But yeah, like it's a game that was like not as bad as the worst people said and nowhere near as good as the best people said, and a fine, inoffensive action RPG.
So it was the Marvel movie of
Dragon
video
Age.
games.
Yeah, bad Dragon Age game that failed because I saw someone have this interesting take that where I don't have the experience of playing Anthem to really know that this was
Andrew,
how bad
did you play Anthem?
This truly was.
No.
But like,
Am I the only person here who tried the Anthem demo? Wow.
So this article was saying how, I'm going to say the thing that I liked playing Anthem more. This is the author, not me, saying that they liked playing Anthem more than Dragon Age because they were like, they prefer something like Anthem taking a risk and failing versus Dragon Age succeeding at something very bland and
Anthem had a cool
accomplishing its goal, and that its goal being nothing. Going to the least common denominator, making the most kind of boring thing possible. They'd rather someone try to commit
the Anthem
to
network test. It played like dog shit.
Speaking of
the
network
flying
tests,
was cool.
Though,
Flying like Iron Man was always satisfying.
I was going to play Anthem, and then everyone said, this is dog shit, so I never played Anthem.
Don't do that. I wasn't really like up on BioWare at the time that Anthem came out. I was like a late adopter to their older games and loved their older games. I love the Mass Effect trilogy.
How, on a scale of 1 to 10, though, how scared are you about Mass Effect?
Mass Effects can be trash.
Mass Effect 5.
So here's the thing, right?
None of the people who built those games work there anymore.
That's not entirely true, but it's kind of true. It's partially true. The guy leading it is a veteran of the series.
Okay.
Yeah, but when they say veteran, was he actually doing something important?
He was there for Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, I was about to say, or was he like the coffee boy? Was he the coffee run intern when Mass Effect 3 came out?
So here's the thing. It's far enough removed for me that it's something that you could be like, yeah, this is bad. Like the Star Wars sequels, you can just be like, that doesn't exist.
What Star Wars sequels?
Say, for me, it's like you can choose to not let it tarnish your appreciation for the original.
Yeah.
I think that stands in that possibility exists more for Mass Effect because that trilogy is so contained, whereas Dragon Age is really always been about this persistent world state type of thing, and that was a big reason why it didn't succeed with a lot of diehard Dragon Age fans, is because they essentially did away with world states.
All I'm saying is Veilguard would have succeeded if it kept the name Dreadwolf.
It would. I mean, it's absolutely a better title, no question about it. That nobody says the word Veilguard in the entire game.
Wow, there's not a single moment where they look around and like, wow, we're like a dragon, an age of dragons, and we are the Veilguard.
They do say Dragon Age within the series. I don't remember if they say it in the game, but because the Dragon Age refers to like the current era in time. But they say Dreadwolf all the fucking time. Solus is the Dreadwolf. Spoilers. They say that all the time, but they never say the word Veilguard. The only thing that happens is that if you you have to max out each companion's quest line in order to make them a Veilguardian or whatever, in order to make sure that they don't die in the end of the mission. That's it. You see on their character page, Veilguard, check. That's it. It's in a menu. That's it.
That's so funny.
I was saying, I feel like the original trilogy of Mass Effect games are so well contained that you can still hold those as kind of pristine in your mind, kind of whatever's going to be will be. Whereas Dragon Age has always been something different each game. I've always said it's the most schizophrenic Western IP out there. It's constantly changing. It's constantly different. There's very little through line throughout it beyond what you're able to carry over in terms of your world state, right? But mechanics, settings, gameplay, always something completely fucking different. So,
how many of them have you played?
Veilguard would have been successful if it was a MOBA.
2.5. Not the only one I haven't played any of is 2.5. The only one I haven't played any of is 2. I've played through all of Origins. I played through half of Inquisition.
And you didn't really like any of?
No. I would have liked
part of Inquisition, and
I would have liked Origins if it wasn't real time with pause. I just don't like real time with pause. There's the combat that frustrated me. If it had different combat, I would have loved it. It was just frustrations with the combat. Inquisition, nothing grabbed me. The combat was a little bit more my taste, a little bit, but still not good. And nothing grabbed me about the story or characters at all. So that's why I put it down. And Veilguard was like, the combat was pretty fun. Spellblade was I would nuke shit. That was pretty fun. But again, story and characters were not good. And the writing was bad. And so there are a lot of reasons why it failed. None of them because it wasn't a fucking live service game. If anything, a big reason why the game is bad is because of you can still see a lot of that DNA still in it. You can still see the bits of the multiple reboots. You can see it in the like the combat arenas, the level and quest design, still is kind of based around that. That the faction system is based off of, having players existing within the different factions and how you would interact with them, and how major NPCs literally would just become like MMO quest giver type shit. So you see that there, and that's a big reason why a lot of things feel hollow. So that's that. Just another example again of what's going on with this industry and how this industry is just at its highest levels is just deeply flawed with and focused on poor trend chasing that we have seen major companies, major publishers see the monetary impact of, including what is now becoming the biggest third-party publisher out there. We're backtracking a little bit, back to Microsoft, back to Xbox. Andrew, take it away.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think that trend chasing is what we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Just the malaise of the video gaming consumer. And like no one is happy about anything because these executives continue to just make boneheaded decisions, chasing trends, following data that's being interpreted incorrectly.
You can always tell when people are unhappy because there will be a Phil Spencer interview about it within a week.
Exactly. And that's what we have today, which Phil Spencer just showing his tummy. Rolling over, putting the tail between his legs, laying down. Microsoft has taken a knee, and they have announced it publicly.
Hard to take a knee. They've already been on their knees for over a decade.
They've been on their knees. Now they're choosing to be on their knees.
Are they getting into a 4-point stance? Are they getting into a 6-point stance? Little football?
So Phil did an interview with Xbox Era for their 250th episode. Congrats to them. You guys are losers. Anyways,
That's us who have done 100 some odd with.
No, only because they're Xbots. That's why they're losers.
Okay.
Anyways, they were pretty blunt.
You have to do ratios there. Since we're Sony ponies, we have a 2.5 to 3 to 1 ratio on their episodes.
They were pretty blunt with Phil. It was a pretty friendly interview, but they did straight up say, hey, what's up with the PlayStation logo being on the Xbox games announcements nowadays? And Phil said, that's the strategy, He said, I just want to be transparent. For shipping on Nintendo Switch, we're going to put that. For shipping on PlayStation, on Steam, people should know the storefronts where they can get our games.
Probably the
Yeah.
first time he's ever been transparent.
Yeah.
That's been the nature of this problem, right? Is that this has been the reality for quite a while.
A year ago, it was only 5 games.
Hopefully, at this point now, this means that we don't have to talk about this again.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
We
that
will.
this has finally been. This will hopefully finally
it'll
be
happen
put to
again.
bed. That there is.
Just wait for the day that Halo has a PlayStation logo on it and has PlayStation control.
They'll melt
mapping.
down. They'll melt down. The bots will melt down. But what I'm talking about is like what's been so weird is there has been no rhyme or reason to their release plans. They had those initial 4 games or whatever. Then there were still exclusives. Then there was the whole fuck up with things. Fuck up meaning their own self goal of removing day one releases to certain tiers of Game Pass, and so it's not knowing where their games are going. That their strategy for exclusives and multi-platform was so piecemeal that there was no logic to it. That people didn't know where things were going. So, because you couldn't even be like, oh, I don't really know or care if this is coming to PlayStation. I can at least be certain it's going to Game Pass, right? Right, Phil? Right, Phil? Please tell me it's going to Game Pass. I paid $19 a month for my Game Pass Ultimate. Please tell me it's going to be there. No. So at least now we know it's basically everything is going multi-platinum.
I mean,
there are no red lines. That I think
it's still an interesting though, because like that's been a showcase thing for a long time. It's like even if it's a third-party game that's going everywhere, you only show the Xbox logo.
Well,
because
PlayStation
you want
does that too, right? Because it's usually a marketing thing. It's usually they pay.
Because you want people to think you can only play it there, and usually 24 hours after the company will come out and be like, "Oh no, you can also buy it on Steam, Xbox, Nintendo, whatever." But like that was one of the big controversies with Metaphor when its first debut happened at an Xbox showcase. Was, oh my god, is this an Xbox exclusive Sega game? And then Sega came out and was like, no, we don't want to kill the game by doing that.
We actually want this game to succeed, folks. Come on.
Within that same,
cuck yourself at your own.
Yeah, that's what they're doing, and that's.
Are they going to show PS5 Pro enhanced too?
That would be funny.
Are they going to have a best place to play is PS5 Pro?
Hey man, they're still getting 70% of those sales. So, but the other thing that I found interesting in this, at least answer to this question, was that they also essentially admitted that this is something they've decided since at least June of last year. They just haven't publicly come out.
Which would kind of align because
that.
it was June last year when Doom the Dark Ages showed up at their summer game show. And that was a day one PS5 Xbox launch.
I do think that's when there's at least news in June about like there was people
that's when the
getting
summer
pissed
showcases
off.
are.
Yeah. And I know there was bots having some sort of meltdown around that time.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it does align. Just interesting. It was interesting to me that this has been, something
they've known
fully
since June, and that they've been like slowly like boiling the frog on their fans of like, no, we're still going to have exclusives, but Indiana Jones is going to go to PlayStation in February. And okay, no, but we're still gonna have exclusives, except, Doom's gonna be day one on PS5. And no, we're still gonna have exclusives, but yeah, no, we're not gonna have exclusives anymore, guys. Sorry.
And then further in the interview, Xbox Era asked, Phil, people are concerned Xbox is gonna be the next Sega. What do you think about that? Can you alleviate worries in our community about the future of Xbox platform itself? And that has definitely been a thing for a while, this concern. And he said, I want to show respect to the people who voice their concerns, and I would never disrespect anybody who comes to me concerned about a library of games on Xbox console. I think we've shown respect for people's libraries over the generations with back compat and play anywhere, and I want to continue to do that. You can buy every game that's in Game Pass. We're not trying to funnel everybody into one business model. Play the games the way you want to play them. But then he goes on to say, we obviously have to run a good business. It's why us embracing Windows and embracing cloud has allowed us to grow. One of our fastest growing regions for us right now is Asia, and it's not because we're selling more consoles in Asia, but through cloud and PC. We are finding more users year over year than in any other place. The fastest kind of platform is cloud. So
all I can think of reading that though is that Phil, you better start learning Chinese.
Yeah.
My immediate thought was we see more
Chinese,
users year over year. Well, it's pretty easy to have an exponential growth when it starts at 2.
Yeah. So I found that interesting as an answer because he kind of like says, don't worry, we'll continue to make Xbox consoles, but he doesn't fully say that. And he definitely doesn't say that's a focus. He says cloud and PC are.
He said that you'll still be able to access your library, which is basically a way of saying, like, yeah, what you've bought will still be available, but you might just not have a console to play it.
Yeah.
You might just have to get it through cloud.
Exactly.
Well, your internet sucks. We're sorry.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah, sucks
buddy.
for you. It's still there.
Yeah,
it's just playing at like 2 frames a second with
your Samsung's from
incredible
2000.
lag.
Your Samsung 2015 TV doesn't run
Just
Indiana Jones well.
Just buy a new TV. Just buy a new TV, man. It's not that
Pretty sure
expensive,
Samsung
right?
2015 TVs don't have Game Pass on them.
No, they probably don't.
I think it was 2019 and after.
Yeah, so they just got to buy a new TV, right?
But yeah, those were the real highlights. You know, the rest of it was him just doing marketing shit and talking about upcoming stuff, which I frankly don't care about because I don't care what Phil Spencer claims to like playing. So the fun thing here,
yeah, but that's what people like about Phil. Phil's a real gamer. You can see his game score. He wears bomber jackets, guys. He's the cool gamer dad.
Well, the cool.
I do enjoy that
dad,
he's now made the slow transition from cool gamer dad to like weird gamer uncle.
The divorce
where
gamer dad.
everyone's starting to acknowledge the fact that like, yeah, Phil kind of lie.
Beware Unk status. It comes with good and bads. There is magic to be had there, but there's also curses that will be thrust upon you.
I just want to point out that Phil has been looking a lot better since he started his Ozempic trials.
Yeah, he does look kind of gone.
I just think he's just realizing that, like, because he doesn't want to be saying this stuff.
No.
This is coming from his boss. This is coming from Satya.
Well, you know for a fact that the statement of like we don't want everyone on Game Pass. If Game Pass had taken off the way they wanted to, like 6 or so years ago, they wouldn't be saying that. But that's also a pivot from if their consoles had sold well, they wouldn't have pivoted to Game Pass as a model.
But,
like they're
and if they had the Game Pass subscriptions in the amounts that they would like, it would be like streaming on Netflix the fucking Jake Paul fight, or even watching the Super Bowl on streaming where, their servers can't handle the amount of fucking people in them because they haven't built them out for, the actual amount of people watching or playing a game.
Admittedly, I doubt that would be as much of a problem for a Microsoft versus a Netflix. If Microsoft can't build server infrastructure, then they've got a
Well, it's not even the capability of building it. It's just like what they have built.
People.
On what?
There aren't that many people playing Xbox games as there would be like.
No, he was saying if they had the numbers that they wanted.
Yeah.
But they probably wouldn't have built out the server space for that amount of people because they're trying to cut costs. So my point being just there is going to be problems with Game Pass and streaming regardless if it, went the way that they wanted it to.
I mean, I always tend to be dunking pretty hard whenever Microsoft gets talked about here. I just like to bring up the fact that I read a lot of threads and people talking about like why they would like stick with Xbox over buying a PlayStation next generation, even though PlayStation's going to have all the Xbox games and the PlayStation games.
If you make that choice, I want to see what those points are. But like, if you make that choice at this point now, there's no hope for you.
You're a pain pig.
There's no saving you. You're gone.
There are two major points.
I must ritualistically wash my hands of you.
There are two major points that get brought up constantly. Game Pass. I play 200 games a year through Game Pass. It's a great deal. It's a perfect thing for me.
That's obscene. That's
Yep.
Let's just say that's obscene.
Yeah, you
I
should be
find that-
institutionalized.
What's worse, playing that many games and one, not actually buying them and paying the studios for those games, or playing the one game for 1,000, 2,000 hours? I don't know which is worse.
And then the secondary
equal.
point, which
I play a
always
lot of
find-
games, and that's the
Nowhere
The
near
secondary
200.
point, which I always find funny, is they constantly talk about Microsoft Quick Resume. And I was sitting there and
No
I was like,
clue what
man,
that
you're
is.
talking about a functionality of the console that saves you at most 20 seconds
And-
from
and
console turn on to
if-
getting into
What?
game.
If I know what that is, doesn't PlayStation have something like that now
Yeah.
too? That you, Andrew, you've talked about, like where you go down to like the title card thing, and there's like you press square or something, and it just jumps you right back into something.
Yeah.
I've never used that. I don't know what that. I don't even.
You see,
I don't
but-
really know what that is.
Well, PlayStation had one, then they shut it down in an update because it was buggy. They might have brought
But
it back.
And
But
do
how
you
is
have
that
to-
any different?
Do you have
Wait,
to
how
have your
is
console in sleep mode in order to do that? Because like shutting down shuts down the game.
And like, if I've had Sekiro, or not Sekiro, because I wouldn't do it for Sekiro. For what's the other, Cyberpunk, I could just pause the game and then I could go and watch YouTube and then just go back to the game, and I'm still where I like it. It doesn't bring me to the title screen. Is
Yeah.
that what Quick Resume is?
I did a test of
yeah?
my
What's
own.
the difference?
Yeah,
I did a test of my own because I'm someone who fully shuts his console.
yeah,
down
we know,
every time.
and every game after you play it
Yep,
and
so-
everything, because you're a psychopath. But yes, go ahead.
On average,
I
it
turn my
takes 20
PlayStation off
seconds
every
from hitting the
day.
power button on my controller until I'm on the title screen ready to load in, and then an additional, depends on the game, 5 to 10 seconds to get into the game. And my point of reference there is just, if your selling point for buying a console
Crazy.
is 25 seconds of save time to get loaded into a game, there's
But
just
when you're playing 200 games a year, that adds up.
it's
I
just
just
one
don't
of, that's
even-
just a mind blowing, like, to
Yeah,
consider
it's
that
crazy. It's crazy.
console selling feature.
It's
But, like, you
absurd.
can
This is
also-
about switching from multiple games. This is about if you have multiple games
that
open
you can't
at
do
one,
on PlayStation.
At one,
Okay,
I mean,
That makes it
I'm-
even worse. That makes it even more like, yes, exactly. It's deranged.
Yeah, I don't have that problem because all my games are on disc, and I play the game on the disc and then pull
What?
it out and put a new disc in and play the game on the disc.
yeah. This says when you switch from one game to another,
That's
the
crazy.
console
Switching
saves the
from
state of the
media
current
to game, that makes sense. I use that sometimes. Like, I don't think that's
Yeah.
deranged. Game to game, having two games open, fucking it's crazy.
Imagine
it's not
doing that.
crazy.
I don't know that it's available on Series S, but imagine doing that on your Series S. I've got 5 games
Just
open.
explode.
I've got 5 games open
I've
on
got
my
5 games open on my 8 gigabytes of RAM.
It's spinning so
Functionally
fast, the
6
fan,
because
that
the
it
OS
just takes
takes
off
2.
like
I'm
a
doing
helicopter.
I'm doing it in the bathroom with the attach on screen.
On your lap. You're the
I have-
third degree
I've
burns.
cooked my balls by doing
Yeah.
that.
Anyone smell ham? What?
This is how I ensure I don't have kids, other than the fact that no one will ever sleep with me to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only will
I just cook them with radiation, you know. They talk about the need for male birth control. It already exists. You are
truly.
just too cowardly to go to the lengths that I will to never have the financial burden of a child.
There was, this is just a side topic, but there was a Reddit post from someone who was like, I'd saved for like 8 months to buy a PlayStation 5, and then my girlfriend showed me a positive pregnancy test. So like there goes my savings. And my immediate thought was, if you need to save like 8 months to buy a PlayStation 5, you cannot afford a child.
It was like,
Yeah.
hey, buddy, I've got
That's
some
what
news for you.
welfare's for.
I've got some news for you. That $800 is gonna maybe buy like 2 things of diapers.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Buy yourself the PlayStation
And
By
And-
procedure, a medical
Yeah, yeah.
procedure that
Yeah,
a doctor
no, like-
can do.
My
or
immediate
ask her,
reaction was just sitting there was like,
Coat
you
hanger
cannot afford a
staircase.
child. You need to have a real financial conversation right now.
boy.
You know who
It's like, if
doesn't
you're-
need
if
to have a
you're-
real financial conversation? Sony. Because Sony's doing fine enough.
Yeah, they're doing okay. They're doing all right.
75 million PS5 sold. It's a pretty good number. We obviously don't get to actually know Microsoft sales numbers because they don't ever actually talk about how many consoles they've sold.
I will say in general, all hardware is down. but I believe Sony is down the least. I think I sent it. I think I actually it was the numbers were in what I sent actually just before we recorded. All hardware is down significant margins.
That was January.
As of last year, yeah. And it was
January's year-over-year was down
Sony was down
8%.
38%, Microsoft down 50%, and Nintendo down 53%. Which you can largely chalk up to people waiting to buy the Switch 2.
But I was just going to make the point of
Sony definitely doing
if
the
you want to
least
know how many
bad.
if you want to know how many Xboxes are sold, you always have to look through like various aggregates where I remember what company it was, but they were like, yeah, there's been 100 million next gen consoles sold this generation so far. It's like, okay, 100 million. Sony says that they've sold 70.
Subtract, but so here's the thing. It was like we were just saying with Veilguard, right? That if they were doing, you could just know that it's not doing well if they aren't upfront with a number. If they don't give you a number,
they haven't been
not
upfront
good.
with their sales numbers going back to last gen. They stopped talking about
if they
console
don't
sales.
give you a number, it's not good because they would be, trumpeting it from the rooftops if it was good.
Yeah. That was just, I wanted to throw that in there before I talked about, we had our throwing cat on couch so that she calms down. We had our annual February State of Play, which came with all of the normal disappointed people who don't understand the difference between a February State of Play and a Summer Games Fest discussion showcase.
To be fair, Sony doesn't do themselves any favors with how they market things. Somebody was breaking it down, and I don't remember the exact data, but like they have contradicted themselves plenty of times. We're saying that like to the point where it's confusing which one is supposed to be the big one. I've seen plenty of like quote unquote industry insiders get them mixed up and be like, wait, isn't State of Play supposed to be the big deal? Like the big thing? And like, no, that's the showcase. But like, it was like, but last year's showcase was dog shit. Like, so, and the one where they preempted it by saying, don't expect anything good. Like, don't expect any, temper expectations type of thing. So, Sony doesn't do themselves any help with their own marketing there. Well, I will.
I mean, I'm just looking at the general trend that February is usually the third-party State of Play. Summer showcase
put on the clown.
usually...
People are putting on the clown makeup no matter what. I'm also not defending the expectations of consumers.
I mean, at this point, I'm fully in the camp of Bloodborne is perfectly playable as it is. If you consistently sit here and say we need a Bloodborne remake, you are weak, and your bloodline does not deserve honor.
Yeah, man, it's pretty close on my to playlist. I've got a couple. I'm playing some current things, but then that's going to be one of my next ones.
Yeah, we had our February State of Play. Nothing else matters. They showed a Digimon game. I'm going to take my 20 minutes here to talk exclusively about Digimon story time. Make sure I got Time Stranger. I was about to say Survivor, but that's Digimon Survive. That's a different...
That's such a funny title, too. Time Stranger.
Well, yeah, time is a weird soup, don't you know?
I get it.
So, was a win for me, just because we get a new Digimon story game, and that's all that matters. Nothing else from the showcase means anything. Lies of P DLC, Lost Soul aside, which has been in development for like 27 years. I'm exaggerating only slightly.
I think it's 9 years, but it's like a single dev, so count them a break.
Nope. No one's allowed to be cut breaks anymore. Tides of Annihilation looked pretty interesting as a character action hack and slash. We got some new Housemarque. We got a little teaser for Saros.
Yeah, I knew you'd be excited about that, but like for me...
None of you get into Returnal as much as I did.
Andrew played a good amount of Returnal, right?
Yeah, I did, and the change that they've made makes me actually very excited. Yes, that makes me very excited. For some,
making it like a dream, making it a roguelite versus roguelike.
Yeah,
having permanent progression.
Exactly.
But for me, it takes two genres.
Returnal had a little bit of permanent progression in the sense that once you found a gun, you could find that gun again in the first biome immediately and stuff like that. And the melee weapon staying permanently unlocked and little bits.
But it's a neither game is anything I will ever play, no matter how much people, praise it, because it's two genres mashed together that I do not like, roguelikes and bullet hell. It's just like, meh, no thanks, pass.
Missing out on one of the best implementations of the DualSense.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. But whatever.
There's nothing better than that quick reload mechanic of hitting the right spot on the trigger.
It's a fun one.
I'd like to see more of that type of thing, but no, I'm not going to play them.
Well,
I'm not going to play
this is not entirely related to my topic, but there have been patent leaks of Microsoft working on their own essential DualSense controller. No more removable batteries, upgraded haptics. So hopefully, if we can get Microsoft on the bandwagon, we can start to have third-party developers, take better advantage of that side of the controller.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I watched this live, and I will admit I was pretty negative on it upon first reaction.
Yeah, because you went in expecting Bloodborne remake.
Again, I told you I knew I was putting the clown makeup on, but I was expecting something more I was expecting more first party stuff. Not like this is going to be a full blowout or whatever, but like that we're going to see something. Like the fact that you didn't see anything about Ghosts of Yotei was a little weird. Even something along the lines of, here's just another cinematic trailer. We're going to have a full, deep dive, like, because they've done it for other games here, that we're going to have a singular deep dive.
Yeah, Death Stranding 2 is getting its own separate thing in March or something like that.
Exactly. So, like, to not... Yes, they announced that earlier, so that was, that expectation was met. But to not see that, because it's supposedly coming out this year, to not have any mention of that whatsoever was really weird. Nothing about, whatever Insomniac is working, nothing about Wolverine. The one that I was like, I had kind of bought into more of that we were going to see an announcement on was something to do with the God of War trilogy remaster or remake.
Well, if you've been paying attention, Senor Grubb has gone on to say that maybe people had their times confused and that the God of War thing is going to be in March when the series anniversary is.
Okay, well, that wasn't part of the discussion around that time, at least as far as I know.
No, because Senor Grubb said that it was going to be at the State of Play.
But also, he's been consistently wrong as of late. So, like, I always like to say, like, the Virgin Grubb versus the Chad Jason Schreier, just like they seem to be friendly, but like Jason Schreier is constantly having to correct.
I think part of the issue with Jeff Grubb, I don't have an issue with Jeff Grubb. It's more of like he has a podcast, he gets to speculate and have opinions, and then people take his speculation and opinions and are like, he knows something.
Yeah, this is insider knowledge type of thing where, it's purely just him guessing, pulling shit out of his ass. But definitely what had me the most interested is the new Onimusha game,
which we already knew about because Capcom had their own.
Well, this is the first time seeing really anything about it though. So that was just cool to see some stuff. It's not like it's not like that was an announcement. I don't know what to make of the Hell Is Us game. This was also something that had been shown earlier in the summer. Like, might be kind of Soulsy in some level, but I think it might be more gun based. I don't know. Obviously, I'm hyped for the Liza P Overture for the DLC there. I just wish that we got an actual confirmed date for that, because it's purely just for us here on the podcast, because I want to schedule and make Liza P be a podcast game, but I want to time that around both for when I will play it again.
Yeah, especially now that everyone's played Sekiro, they can play Sekiro, but not as good.
It's pretty good.
We've already played Sekiro not as good and done an episode on it.
That's Sekiro nowhere near as good.
Yeah, you're right.
There are levels to this.
Yeah. This is pretty damn good.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm hyped for that. Matt, how do you feel about there being more DLC for Stellar Blade?
I mean, this is more actual DLC, because the Nier DLC was more or less just collectibles and
cosmetics.
Yeah.
Whereas this adds more actual content. But yeah, that's fine. I'll go back to it. I'll wait a little bit and see if there's anything else they want to add, because they're going to obviously, try to do some more collaborations and boost sales around the PSE.
Right. But Tides of Annihilation is it was definitely the standout.
It's interesting they didn't mention Astrobot getting 5 more levels.
Yeah, no, it's stuff like that. It's because that got announced like the day after. It's really weird. It was just like the decisions that they made what to show and what not to show.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've looked at the 5 level names, but they are suggestive, would be what I would describe them as. I think the one that just came out is called like Thrust and Trust.
Yeah, they don't name that in the thing. Just, you know, say, hey, you know, Team Asobi here. We've got 5 more levels. Come enjoy the game.
Because I'm definitely looking forward to a point in time where they're like, this is the last like level pack that we're adding to Astrobot, so I can go in and just play them all.
Yeah, I'm not reinstalling it until I know that they're done.
I mean, it never came uninstalled for me. That is,
I think I uninstalled it when I did the transfer.
Yeah.
Who's gonna play Split Fiction with me? Because I don't have a significant other. I need someone to play the new It Takes Two people's game with me. That comes out.
Time to get on the apps.
Yeah.
Put that in the bio. Looking for partner for video game.
Who will volunteer to be to be my Discord kitten?
Pretty sure there's
Split Fiction with me.
Pretty sure there's an anti-woke gamer-specific dating app.
Hell yeah.
It's like farmers.
That is probably like 99%
like
like AI bot profiles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
was
just
gonna say,
all incels.
A woman, just one woman on that thing.
It's sweats and AI porn bots.
The types of bots that have 2 pictures, none with their face, and then immediately ask you to add them on Snapchat, but the Snapchat name is something like Zaire Azelf, but their name will be like Melissa.
I'm
Just
always wondering what
demanding
those
dick pics.
Yeah, what those?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
what do those accounts get out of this?
They're demanding dick pics and then
Or
blackmail you.
Yeah. Blackmail.
They only ask like $500 though, so if you tell them to fuck off, they
I
fuck
will
off.
share this with your friends and family. Do it, coward.
You act like I'm not Sammy from Blue Mountain State and haven't shared that with my entire phone contact.
That's
And it's
easier
not like
to
I'm
go
ever
through
sending
one by
dick pics
one.
with a face in them. That's crazy. Try to match
That's the
that
only
to
way
my
you can
dick,
tell if
you'll
it's
never.
your dick, though.
Like, that's
It-
my whole point.
Andrew, did you play any of the Dark Pictures games like The Quarry or?
I played Quarry.
So they've got a new.
I
was
liked
one-
it.
They've got a new one, the Directive 8020. Something I'll never play,
Cool.
but it's another one. It's like a sci-fi.
Yeah, that looked interesting. I'm most excited for Delta Snake Eater getting a release date. I've been looking forward to that since it was announced, so I'm really pumped about that.
You know
that's
it'll be a good
my
game
juices
because it
going.
can't possibly be woke.
Yeah, they're basically doing like shot for shot, you know. And there was
My pronouns are cardboard and box.
Yeah, there was no woke back then. It wasn't a thing. Yeah, Matt, did you have any other takeaways from the
I mean, no, I already made my point. Digimon.
Did you?
evangelize for us the why we should all play the other Digimon story game?
I mean, I don't need to. If you don't want to play them, then you are just a weak human being whose bloodline does not deserve honor.
Say who will not experience peak.
Yeah. We're talking about the series that does Pokemon better than Pokemon, will outlive Pokemon, will always be better than Pokemon.
I'm staying quiet. I know this is bait.
Yeah. Let's have this conversation, Mike. Pokemon just released a full-size, life-size plush of Gardevoir, and they're like, that's our fuckable Pokemon. That's it. Digimon have straight up women as Digimon. They're just like, this is a Digimon. Her name is Angel Woman.
Where's the real
Self-reporting over
culture?
there.
All right, boys. I think that probably does it for us today. Then there were some other things going on. Other things again. The state of the industry is basically never not in a state of peril at this moment. Like, I don't know. I may write about it for the blog this week. Either like what's going on with NetEase and basically
Neti Pots?
shuttering all their Western devs. And
I mean, I've enjoyed quite a few of the jokes that were like, make a bad live service game, get fired. Make a good live service game, get fired.
Yeah.
The illusion of choice.
Yeah. And then there's like the Microsoft Muse AI that's like been PR whitewashed to be something that it's not, and I need to
We're going to use our AI to steal your games and then make them better.
There's a whole lot there that I'm not necessarily technically competent enough to say for certain right now, but I might do a little bit of research on that. But I don't know. We'll be talking. There's things that we didn't fully get to. A lot of releases here in February, so I'll be writing about something that we didn't get to this week on the Patreon. You can go see my review for
No,
Citizen
the only
Sleeper
thing you should be
2.
writing about on Patreon is how Super Saiyan 4 is canon now.
Dude, yeah. Was there like a national day of celebration in Mexico when that happened?
The cartels
All of Central America.
universally declared a weekend of peace because adult Goku went Super Saiyan 4 this weekend.
All right, folks. Well, yeah, so you can go check out the Patreon, see some things that we didn't get to talk about today. You can check out my review from last week on Citizen Sleeper 2. I really liked it. It was a great game. Can follow us on all the social medias except for, breaking update. Last week we were saying how, we had some sketchy activity on our Twitter account that has resulted into our account being suspended. I have filed 2 appeals and heard nothing.
Sounds right.
So we do have a Blue Sky profile now, but dude, Blue Sky is fucking bleak. It's not a good time over there. The vibes are off there.
No, you need an X-cancel account.
So yeah, what is that? You've sent links from that. I'm like, what is this?
I'm pretty sure it's just a forwarding site so that people can post tweets on Reddit without posting tweets.
Right, because they banned Twitter from basically every subreddit. Yeah, but you can follow us everywhere. We're basically it's just Campaign Comrades everywhere. Twitter was the only place where we were CampCon Pod, and that's gone for right now, and probably for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, fuck it.
No, whatever. It's not like we're missing much over there. Yeah, I think that's it. Scheduling, timing is a little bit up in the air right now, but I think we're most likely going to be shifting down a week, giving Mike a little bit of extra time to play through Sekiro, because Matt will be leading us through his game choice.
2 weeks from now, Mike will still be on Blazing Bull.
I was dying to him this morning. Worse than before, so.
I don't know how to give you advice on this, because Blazing Bull has always just been a pit stop for me.
Like, I'm not really certain either. It's just, I think I got him first try. I don't really remember having much trouble. Whereas Madame Butterflies, that was definitely my first skill challenge. And took me a bit to...
I'm really upset, because I was getting her down. She was ready to pop. And then to second stage, and then I would die.
Yeah, just got to keep pressing forward.
She might be easier for me than the bull. The bull's just too erratic. There's too much going on. My brain can't handle it.
Mike struggles with the bull.
Just get
he
behind
finds
him.
The bull erratic.
Just get behind booty.
I'm not used to being behind the bulls, I'm used to being in front.
You just gotta smack that booty.
Okay, nope.
You just gotta smack that booty. Yeah, all right, folks. That'll do it for us today. We'll see you next time. Probably in 2 weeks. Maybe we'll have a video out on YouTube in between then. Mike, is there going to be a Pokemon showcase or something coming up?
Yeah, next week.
All right, you and I. I'm saying now, you and I are going to do a YouTube video on that. You're going to tell me why I should care this time. All right.
I can guarantee you, there's going to be nothing of merit shown.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Probably going to be like a new
Pokemon
Center opening in Japan.
No, they'll probably
maybe like a new plush line.
I mean, hopefully they're releasing the release date for Z to A, the new Legends game.
My favorite clown makeup, because we talked about the Bloodborne clown makeup, is every time there's a discussion around a Pokemon presentation, all the people putting clown makeup on saying there's going to be like a classic release of all the old games.
I mean, they've already have them all on Switch at this point. Well, at least the Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Yeah, a lot of them are there. Yeah, a lot of the classics are there.
Right. I mean, not gold, silver.
Yeah, it is. And Crystal's on there.
In what way?
They're on they're playable through the online.
No, they're not.
Like,
there are no classic Pokemon games on Switch Online.
I don't know what you define as classic, but I think you might be wrong about that.
The only games that are Pokemon related on there are the trading card game, the Coliseum. And
was it on the DS that they had them in the eShop?
They were
on the
released
DS.
as virtual console games.
Yes, you're right. He is right. I was confusing them with the DS virtual console.
Oh, I could have sworn there was something on.
No, they are they're supposed to be coming in 2025. I just saw it when I Googled it, but he is right. It's
going to be an entire presentation about the new life-size Vaporeon plush that they're selling.
It's machine washable, folks. Don't worry.
Silicone based.
Boy, they know who their
got a
target
rear battery
demographic
cut
is.
out.
All right, you can look forward to that, whatever it will be. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.